Hi everybody, welcome to April. March was a really ambitious month. I wanted to read all books by male authors and then I couldn't finish this one. This is At Home by Bill Bryson, and it is a story of a house. He ends up moving into a rectory in a countryside of England, and it's a story of all the rooms, and it gives a lot of history. So I had to take notes. And it's a lot of notes. So how do I feel about this book? I found the little slip that the library gives you when you check out a book, and this book was checked out on February 24th, and it is now the first week of April. So our library is closed because of COVID-19, and so I can't return the book, which is good, and apparently they're forgiving late fees because I'm sure this book has got late fees. It's 450 pages of history. It goes as far back as the ancient Romans even. If you want to know what's the connection between syphilis and Central Park, or why do forks have 4 tines, this book has an explanation for everything. If you want to know where the word bigwig comes from, or where the phrase room and board comes from, this book will tell you. Let's see. There's so much interesting stuff packed in this book, and because of my preconceived expectations, I had a hard time reading this because I really wanted this book to be about my journey in minimalism. Like, I have a special relationship with my house, and I will be very sad when it's time to move because there are so many happy memories here, so many moments of growth. I've never lived in a house like this. I never lived in a house till I was 18 years old. So caring for a house like this has been my second full-time job. So I was expecting that maybe this book would help me understand like the relationship people have to their homes, and it didn't do that. It delivered a lot more. I didn't know about infant mortality in Victorian England. It wasn't as bad as people think. I actually wrote down the stats. 1 out of 4 children didn't reach the age of 1, and 44% of children didn't reach the age of 7. I thought the infant mortality rate was much higher, and that's why people had so many kids back then, is because they knew that their children wouldn't make it. It isn't that bad, but it's not as good as what we have today. And you'll never guess who was the first to study infant mortality. It was an astronomer named Halley, as in Halley's Comet. So this book, it wasn't what at all that I expected, and it was so much more. So I highly recommend it. It's a lot. It's 450 pages. So if you have the time, just read a chapter per night. And I have a confession to make. There was one chapter where I couldn't do it. I just couldn't. It grossed me out too much. It's on page 253, and I couldn't do it. I said, between my OCD and what you learn about me in the first chapter of my book, and then COVID-19, I just can't handle any more contagion stuff. I just can't. Maybe it's my OCD that's speaking to you right now, but I will lie. There are like about 8 pages that I skipped over because I just couldn't handle it. Certain parts are kind of gross, like nobody wants to learn about how we learned about cholera, and the lack of hygiene and proper plumbing in Victorian era London. So those things, I mean, it's gross, but it is part of our history. So I like this book. Overall, I like this. I thought this book was going to be the end of my relationship with Bill Bryson, but it turns out we can do this. I'll give another one of his books a try. So that's the first book, Bill Bryson. These are the 2 books I have for April. Okay. The first one's called A Man Called Ove, O-V-E. I don't know how to pronounce it because the author is Swedish. The author is Fredrick Backman. This book is speaking to me right now because I don't know how you're doing with COVID-19, but I basically swing between two emotions, anger and anxiety, and anger and anxiety. And I think all of you know why I'm angry. It's not hard to figure out why I'm angry. All you have to do is watch the news and then turn it off after 5 minutes. And then the anxiety, that's not hard to figure out at all. As many of you know, I work in healthcare, so I'm especially anxious. And also I have 2 elderly parents that I'm not able to see because the Canadian border is closed except to essential services. So I think I'm not alone. I'm not the only person who's angry and anxious. So this book is speaking to me. I'm not very far in. I think I'm only on chapter 9. But from the very beginning, this person is speaking to my inner, what's the word he uses? Curmudgeon. So I get irritated. I get irritated when people throw their gloves by the shopping carts in the grocery store, or when all of us neighbors take the effort to stand 6 to 10 feet away from each other, and one very inconsiderate neighbor will jog right through the circle that we've created. I get irritated with people who are hoarding toilet paper. Please stop. I have not bought toilet paper, so whoever's doing it, stop it. So this person is really speaking to my inner curmudgeon, and frankly, it's no longer inner, it's outer, but there's still a sweetness in this book. From what I understand, and I'm only on chapter 9, is he's a widower, he lives alone, and everybody in his life is annoying the living daylights out of him. He drives an old Saab, and he describes people by the kind of car that they drive, like an Audi versus a Mercedes. And then he describes people not by their names, but what they look like. So he refers to this one a guy who jogs by his house is like the tracksuit wearing guy, and why does he need to look like a Romanian gymnast? Why does a grown man in his 40s need to look like a Romanian gymnast? It's basically, so far, all I'm understanding is that he's a cranky old man, and frankly, I'm with him. He has every right to be, and so do I, and so do you. So if you're cranky right now, go with it. Find the crankiness, be happy, enjoy. So this is A Man Called Ove, and I understand that this is a movie in Swedish and it has subtitles. That's what I learned today. Okay. Next book I have for you is Where Did You Go, Bernadette? This book is by Maria Semple. And I'm just gonna say it, I'm kid-free for many reasons. This book seems to be like reason number probably 11. So it's funny to me because a lot of my friends have small children, and if you think we have it rough, try being a parent of small children in a time of stay-at-home orders. It can't be easy. There's so much expectations on parents. And when I walk my dog, I sometimes find children walking their dogs, and of course we keep our distance, and I say, how are you? How are you holding up? And the children say, well, right now it's okay because we're on spring break, but it won't be because school is going to start, and then I have to Zoom class, and the grades still count even though we aren't going back to school this year. So being a parent is hard, but so is being a child. And from what I'm gathering and being on page 21, I can completely understand why people are cranky. So let's just embrace this. Let's embrace April for what it is. Let's connect with each other through our inner crankiness. And speaking of connection, I hope, like me, you too are finding it. I've been able to connect with the girls who are in Orange County, Pennsylvania, Vancouver. I've been able to connect with my family in Calgary, Alberta, my parents who are in Ontario. I've been really lucky. I've been able to do yoga online with my friend Helen, who's a yoga teacher. So, indulge your inner crankiness, but also reach out to people, because I don't have the restrictions of work anymore for a couple weeks actually. It's hard to stay connected with all of us being in different time zones. So now is the best time I can think of to reach out and connect with each other and really be there for each other. So these are the books I'm reading for April. Finally finished Bill Bryson, and I have Where Did You Go, Bernadette, and A Man Called Ove. So stay tuned, because I am coming up with a series of videos inspired by At Home by Bill Bryson, and it's called Ugly Minimalism. And the reason why I call it Ugly Minimalism is because our house looks ugly. There's no nice way of saying it. And it's gonna stay that way for the foreseeable future, but I can still embrace my minimalist lifestyle, and I want to take you through it. And I've thought of 9 ugly projects for COVID-19 inspired by Ugly Minimalism. So hope you enjoy the books, and stay tuned for those 9 videos, and I'll see you next time. Take care, stay healthy, stay safe, stay away from each other. Bye for now.